Thank you, Kathy. You know what's interesting is sometimes when just by knowing that something still exists, even though you don't really use something any longer, can be comforting. And then when you find out when that thing is going away, even though you haven't used it for a long time, it's very sad.
What?
Mad Magazine is going to stop publishing issues this fall.
Yeah.
And we were subscribing a few years ago, like 3-4 years ago. My kids, like one of them picked up, saw a Mad Magazine, got it, liked it. And I'm like, oh, done deal. We're signing up for this. I love Mad Magazine. Mm-hmm. And we haven't been subscribers for a couple of years. But when I heard this, I was so bummed out. I loved Mad as a kid. It was just my favorite thing to get in the mail.
Likewise, Mad Magazine was the best. I also got Cracked Magazine.
Yeah, I did too.
Then I progressed into the National Lampoon.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, and that helped instruct my comedic chops along the way. So many comedians, so many people, just people in general who love humor, loved Mad Magazine because it was a subversive comic book for kids. Adults read it too, but it was obviously...
Yeah, because it would flirt with adult material.
It would, all the time.
Not blue material, but it would...
Political movie parody, stuff like that. But it was very cool. And it had a litany of great artists and features. Spy versus Spy. You had...
Don Martin,
Mort Drucker, Al Jaffe. The fold out, the fold in, as they called it in the back, you would have a picture, you could fold it to become another picture. Alfred E. Newman, of course, a legendary character. They had the TV series. But man, when that would come in the mail,
Do you still subscribe to any magazines? Do you get magazines at
last
home?
magazine I used to get at home was because we signed up for one of our family members was selling subscriptions, so we're getting Entertainment Weekly, and then that sort of went away. But in my heyday, I subscribed. I used to get Famous Monsters of Filmland, Starlog, Fangoria, National Lampoon. I was getting lots of magazines at home fairly frequently.
I used to get Entertainment Weekly for work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I used to get that. But I still subscribe to a couple. I'm Golf Digest and Golf Magazine.
There you go.
I still want the hard copy magazine in there. I have a hard time reading magazines, a full magazine online. You know what I mean?
On the crapper.
Now articles, I can see, picking up here and there through aggregator sites and stuff like that. But if I want to dive into a full magazine, what they have to offer, I still need the hard copy. So, did you ever subscribe to dirty magazines? Because I did. The only one I ever had.
Playboy.
I had a prescription. God knows I needed it.
Son, you need something for your boner. Take 2 Hustlers and at night cut it in half. Cut Beaver magazine in half.
I had a subscription to Playboy, but that's the only one that I could ever. That one I could get away with.
You could,
but
though.
I couldn't
not embarrassed about it.
I couldn't subscribe. Penthouse, maybe. But then when you get into your Hustlers and We and, whatever the other magazines Cherry.
Wouldn't it blow your mind that people would get home delivery? Because I remember, there were subscription cards in these things for the other magazines. Like, who's getting Sweaty Vagina magazine at home? Here's your bills, and that looks like a good issue. Now, obviously, they would seal them specifically for the mailing, but still, you could tell what it was.
I never had subscriptions. The only one that I had were there's other two I mentioned earlier, but I was totally into scary movies when I was younger. So Fangoria, what's the other one?
There was Fangoria, there was Starlog, there was Famous Monsters of Filmland, there was, like I said, the Monster Times was another one of them. Another one? Am I missing them?
You're missing one. There was Fangoria, not Fantasia. It was
Biggins?
Jugs, and they're
Areolas.
People that are reminding us the names of
Butthole.
Some of the other. I subscribe to Butthole magazine.
What's this one about?
It's a picture of a guy with a pipe. I'm a butthole reader. For this Christmas, give Dad what he wants. Butthole.
Steve, what are you reading?
I'm reading Butthole, Preston. Telling me how I can set up my stereo. Apparently, you have to run the cords through your butthole.
Oh, yes.
What are you reading there?
Oh, I was just reading Butthole magazine, telling me how to get a more effective home theater. The apparently works better if you put the cord through your butthole. Oh, this is the 10 tastiest cheeses for the holidays. Many of them are better if you put them in your butthole. Some guy with an ascot on.
Everything.
Lord Buddington.
An ascot.
An butthole. An abscot. Oh my God. Okay. You know what? I think now that I'm reminiscing, fondly about Butthole Magazine. No, I'm pretty certain it had to have been Mad Magazine. Had to have been my very first subscription to anything.
I'm going to say likewise.
Yeah.
I loved it so much, and do you remember when you would see something in it, and it's not like you could do today, obviously. You would look at this, you'd lend the magazine.
I never read it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the only thing that I know that what you're talking about is Alfred E. Newman and that little thing in the back.
But Preston,
the fold.
So Case, not only would you have the picture in a lot of these cases, but what you would love is in the background there'd be like flies with little fly lines around them.
Yeah.
Or there'd be these little things that they would do to just augment the picture that made it great.
Yeah, agreed. And
the artists were great.
There were almost little Easter eggs throughout as well, and outside of the frames
all
and
over
things
the
like
place.
that. Yeah. So you really had to. You could spend a lot of time reading the magazine. It wasn't just you pick it up and tear right through it. I mean, I would hang on to them and go back and see things that I would miss the first time around.
I remember laughing out loud, as a kid, and one of the first times really laughing that profoundly, and that carried over to National Lampoon, which again, great memories of that. And Nick, you saw the documentary about
with Will Forte.
Yeah, and they
Phenomenal.
I remember they did a piece on it was an old style brochure for the largest ocean liner ever built. I think it was called the Tyrannic. And the artist illustrations were done in that sort of Art Deco style, where, they drew the ship on such an enormous scale that you were just howling with laughter.
Yeah.
You can't describe it. You have to see it. But to have that reaction from a magazine that you're sitting there, to read something and laugh that loudly is just... you don't get that.
Mad Magazine had published 550 issues prior to its reboot, by the way, which was in 2018, I believe. DC purchased Mad Magazine in 2017, but they're going to hang it up. At its height, it had 2.8 million subscribers.
Now they took
which was in like 1973, I think.
They took a big hit when editor Max Sherman went over to handle the chores at Butthole. And,
yes, exactly.
Do you know what you're getting into over there at Butthole?
Oh my God, Butthole Magazine. Someday,
I'm
folks.
curating their wine list. Yeah. Apparently, it tastes better when you drink it out of someone's butthole.
But it's sad. It's sad that it's going away, even though I haven't, actively been a subscriber for a couple of years. But nonetheless.